In practice, it ignores what comes next. The second layer is retail integration. This is where individuals are brought into the new system, and contrary to how it's often discussed online, retail integration does not usually arrive as a free choice between old and new systems. It arrives because the old system is under stress, inefficient, or no longer sustainable in its current form. We've seen this pattern before, not just in finance, but in many aspects of society. Major shifts are rarely presented as optional upgrades. They're introduced as solutions to problems that make the alternative impractical or inaccessible. Over time, behavior changes not because people want it to, but because the system incentivizes or enforces it. Now, here's the key risk that almost nobody talks about. If wholesale adoption happens first and retail integration comes later, there is a window of time where selling a utility asset into fiat might actually increase your long-term exposure to systemic risk instead of reducing it. Not because the asset was bad, but because the currency you move into may be undergoing its own transformation. This is not about assuming worst-case scenarios. It's about acknowledging that fiat currencies are not static. They are policy instruments. Their purchasing power, accessibility, and rules of use can and do change over time, especially during periods of stress. Most people view cash as the safe endpoint. Historically, that belief has been wrong more often than it's been right. Throughout modern history, currencies have been devalued, restricted, frozen, or restructured during transitions, sometimes slowly through inflation, sometimes abruptly through crisis responses. In almost every case, people who believed holding cash alone was safe discovered that safety was conditional. This is why the timing of selling matters more than the act of selling itself. Selling a utility asset during a wholesale adoption phase before the retail system has stabilized means you're stepping out of an asset designed for the new system and into one that may still be in the process of being redefined. That's not inherently wrong, but it's not risk-free either. This is also where the concept of utility really becomes important. Utility assets are not just meant to be traded, they are meant to function. They can be used for liquidity provision, settlement, and potentially income generation as the system matures. Those options don't require blind holding, but they do require patience and understanding. The mistake most people make is assuming the transition will be smooth and simultaneous for everyone. It almost never is. There are always gaps, and those gaps are where unintended consequences show up. None of this means you should never take profits. It means you should understand what problem your asset is solving and what problem the currency you're moving into might face next. Risk doesn't disappear, it shifts. Now let's talk about volatility, because this is where most people get emotionally